Welcome to Politics Unusual. I'm Morgan McKay. It's being called one of the biggest political shakeups in recent history. Democratic Socialist and State Assemblyman Zohran Mamdani declared victory in Tuesday night's Democratic mayoral primary. So first up, we're going to go one-on-one with Mamdani to speak about the race, his campaign, and what's next. Then we're speaking with Republican Congressman Mike Lawler about how this mayoral primary could impact the governor's race next year. And we'll have the pulse of the people. We're checking in with New Jersey on some top issues facing residents. But first, former Governor Andrew Cuomo's political comeback took a major blow Tuesday night. Cuomo collected enough signatures to appear on an independent ballot line in November general election, but sources say he is still weighing whether he will actively campaign. Democratic leaders are also not jumping to endorse Mamdani, including House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, U.S. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, U.S. Senator Chuck Schumer, and Governor Kathy Hochul. Hochul said this week she wants to meet with Mamdani to discuss some of his proposals, but emphasized she's not raising taxes on anyone next year. When Hochul was asked why she won't endorse,
I'm going to be having conversations. I want to find out, positions on specific issues. But in the meantime, I'm working closely with Mayor Eric Adams, who is the mayor, who we have a lot of work to do.
Now, many of Mamdani's policies rely on the money generated from raising taxes on millionaires and corporations. So we spoke one-on-one with Mamdani discussing these comments from the governor, what his win means for the Democratic Party, and his campaign strategy moving forward. Congratulations again. So experts are saying that your win was one of the biggest political shakeups in recent history. You had House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries congratulating you, U.S. Senator Chuck Schumer congratulating you, but they didn't endorse you. What were the conversations like with them, and are you expecting endorsement from them?
They were lovely conversations that I had both with Senator Schumer and House Minority Leader Jeffries, because they spoke about their recognition of what this campaign has built and what it's spoken to in New Yorkers, which is a real hunger for a different kind of politics and a focus on making the most expensive city in the United States of America affordable. And ultimately, I look to earn every endorsement every single day of this race. And the coalition that we have built, it is only going to expand in the days and weeks and months to come, because ultimately this is a coalition that is looking to deliver for every New Yorker, no matter whether they voted for me in the primary or whether they vote at all. This is a city that I will look to represent.
Now, Governor Kathy Hochul has also not endorsed you yet. She said she called to congratulate you. What has your conversation been like with her so far?
It was a good conversation, and I've appreciated the fact that the governor has long been focused on affordability, and that is where I really see the possibility of collaboration in delivering this city into a place where working people don't have to leave. They can actually continue to live here and even grow old here. And I know the governor cares about that deeply, so do I, and I think there's an immense amount of potential in that relationship.
She said today that she still has some concerns over some of your policy ideas. She's not ready to endorse you yet, and she said that she's absolutely not going to be raising taxes. Raising taxes on the wealthy is one of the key parts of your policy proposals. How are you going to convince her to get on your side if elected?
The same way that we built this campaign. Every single day showcasing the immense viability of it, the importance of it, and frankly, the popularity of it beyond just those that consider themselves progressives. In the same way that people describe raising taxes as a non-starter, they would have described this campaign as a non-starter. And here we are, having won the Democratic primary before ranked choice voting was even tabulated. And that's the kind of movement we're building that will deliver a more affordable city.
Do you think this also means that some of the Democratic Party leadership, do you think that they're out of touch with their voter base, or do you think that the party is moving to be more socialist, like they're saying, and they're just not listening? Or is it that you're an outlier, like some are saying?
I think that it is important for all of us to listen more and lecture less. And I've been trying to learn that lesson myself over the course of this campaign, where we often in politics have this instinct where we have our ideas and we seek to share them, but it's just as important to hear from people themselves. And in listening to New Yorkers over the past 8 months, I have heard time and again that the very Democrats who voted for Donald Trump in this city are ones who would come back if we had a relentless focus on an economic agenda. And that's what we delivered over 8 months. And now those are the same Democrats that are coming back as we won districts that Donald Trump won. We won Bath Beach, we won Astoria Heights, we won Bensonhurst. And when we're thinking about Eric Adams, we won more votes than he had through ranked choice voting in 2021, because this is a mandate.
Now, reportedly, business leaders are also very worried about your policies, like raising the corporate tax rate and income taxes for the city's millionaires by 2%. You also want New York to borrow $70 billion over the next decade. What are you telling business leaders right now? Are you talking with them and Catherine Wild, for example?
I've had a number of conversations with Kathy Wild over the course of this campaign. I've always appreciated the time and the back and forth, because even where there is disagreement, there is always a mutual respect as to how this city needs all of us to move forward. And I've made clear what my plans are, what my vision is, and I'm more than happy to sit down with any New Yorker, especially those that are concerned, and that includes business leaders, to talk about how this is a vision that would benefit all of us.
Adams today came out really hard against you, said that this city is not a socialist city. He also called you a snake oil salesman at one point. What do you have to say?
I think he might have been talking about himself, and I think ultimately these are the words of someone who looks at the results in Bed-Stuy, who looks at the results in Harlem, who looks at the results in Washington Heights, neighborhoods that he won in 2021 in single digits, that we just won in double digits, and sees that his coalition is in fact becoming a new coalition, one that will actually deliver on the promises he made in 2021, not betray them like he did over the last 4 years.
Do you think Cuomo should continue to run in the general election?
I think there's room for everyone, because ultimately we're going to win it.
Just one more quick question about Cuomo. Are you worried that having Adams, Cuomo, and you in the race is going to allow Curtis Lewa to win?
No, I'm not worried about any of those candidates. I'm excited and confident about our chances in the general election, because what we saw on Tuesday is a mandate from New Yorkers to deliver a city they can afford, not a desire for politics of the past or politicians of the past.
Right now, you're going to have a lot of money pouring into this race against you. You're going to have some of these big donors that were going for Cuomo now maybe pouring into Cuomo again or Adams. How is your campaign going to strategize against that?
In the same way that we defeated the most well-funded super PAC in New York City's municipal history, we're going to build the largest volunteer operation the city has seen. We have more than 50,000 volunteers. There was a time in this race where people doubted whether we could get 50,000 votes, and we had the same number of New Yorkers who were knocking on doors. They knocked on more than 1.5 million doors, more than 2.1 million phone calls, and showcased the ability to triumph over $30 million in opposition spending. And I was at Tom's Diner on 112th and Broadway in Morningside Heights a few days before Election Day, and a man yelled out to me, he said, "You know how I know you're doing well?" And I said, "How?" He said, "Because they're lying about you on TV." And New Yorkers ultimately know that when they see smears and slander in a 30-second attack ad, that there is something behind it, and that's a movement of ordinary people that can't be won.
And how are you going to outreach to Jewish voters who are worried about your election?
Ultimately by showcasing the sincerity of my commitment to protect them, and that I will respect and respond to each and every Jewish New Yorker and New Yorker at large, because I'm not just looking to represent those that voted for me, or just those that voted for Andrew Cuomo, or those that even don't vote at all. Ultimately, I want to represent all New Yorkers, and that means continuing to earn endorsements and support, and also having conversations with those who are skeptical, who are concerned, even those who want to ask me questions or even yell at me. They deserve a mayor that they can meet and see and share their concerns and their perspective with.
Are you willing to negotiate on some of these policy proposals that do have people very concerned?
Ultimately, the policies that I've run on are ones that I will deliver, and there's room for negotiation, there's room for compromise, but not on the outcomes of making this city more affordable. And it's been so exciting in the last few days to see the new endorsements that our campaign has received from Congressman Jerry Nadler, from State Senator Brad Hoylman-Siegel, from Manhattan Borough President Mark Levine. These are the very New Yorkers who have been fighting for these kinds of issues for quite some time, and to be in one fight with them is incredibly exciting.
You knocked on 1 million doors for the primary. You're going to knock on 2 million doors for the general election?
I only make promises I can keep, and I will get back to you with an exact number soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Now, votes will not be officially finalized in the mayoral Democratic primary until Tuesday, July 1st. We'll be digging deeper into Mamdani's policies and the full slate of candidates running in the general election in the coming weeks. But next up, from the race for mayor to the race for governor, we're speaking with Republican Congressman Mike Lawler about his possible run for governor and get his reaction to Mamdani's win. Welcome back to Politics Unusual. It's been more than 20 years since a Republican won a statewide office in New York. But in the last gubernatorial election, Governor Kathy Hochul beat her Republican opponent, Lee Zeldin, by only about 6 points. And President Donald Trump made gains as well last year, losing the state by about 12 points in the 2024 presidential election. So now Republicans say they see a chance to change things next year. So joining us now is Congressman Mike Lawler, who is in Washington today. Thank you so much for making the time. I'm going to start with the biggest question on everyone's minds is whether or not you're going to run for governor next year.
Well, we're coming to a decision point, and we'll have something to announce soon. There's no question that New Yorkers deserve a choice next year, and Republicans have to run a strong campaign to provide that choice and let New Yorkers decide about the direction of the state. One-party Democratic rule in Albany has created a mess. We have the highest tax burden in the country, the worst business climate. We lead the nation in outmigration. And frankly, that's only going to be accelerated by a Mayor Mamdani. You have an avowed socialist who supports defunding the police, who wants to prevent ICE from deporting criminal aliens, who wants to provide free everything to everyone by raising taxes on businesses, and driving people out of the state even further. And New Yorkers really deserve a clear contrast between the policies that have been put forth by the Democrats in Albany and New York City and how we're actually going to fix this state. Regardless of my decision, ultimately, we're going to need a strong candidate. And so, we're working through that process. I know others are as well. And we'll make a decision very, very soon.
So I want to get your take on the primary. Do you think a candidate like Zohran Mamdani, if he were to win the election, do you think that could possibly help Republicans in the governor's race next year, maybe some state legislative races next year?
Well, I think there are a few simple truths. Number one, it would be very good for Republicans politically. To have an avowed socialist as mayor of the largest city in America, the financial capital of the world, that will not go well for Democrats. The problem is politics is the least of it. The fact is this would be a disaster for New York City. It would be a disaster for the state. And it's something that Republicans, Democrats, independents have to come together this November and prevent. The idea that you would have a avowed socialist who just the other night on television was asked, do you support capitalism? And he said no. The fact is you have somebody who has openly talked about arresting foreign leaders who come to New York, whether it be for the UN or any other reason. This would be an absolute disaster for New York. And frankly, what you already see from my Democratic colleagues, they don't know what to do. Kathy Hochul doesn't know whether or not she endorses them. Kirsten Gillibrand says, oh, I vote in Albany. I don't know. I mean, they got to show some leadership here and push back against this insanity, or you're not going to have a city. The city of New York will see mass exodus by businesses and taxpayers to New Jersey, to Connecticut, to Florida. And it will continue to create a fiscal calamity for the city, especially as he's talking about free busing, government-run grocery stores. Who's paying for all that? At some point with socialism, the problem is that you run out of other people's money.
Now, one part of Mamdani's proposal, though, is to not only tax corporations in the state, but he was saying in response to that question of if this will force them to leave, he said you'll also tax them when they do business here in New York. Do you think, though, that this message of affordability is what voters are looking for right now?
There's no question affordability is the biggest issue facing the country. And you see the work we're doing down in Washington is to actually address the issue of affordability. The economy is growing. Jobs are being created. Wages are actually rising. And you see the cost of goods coming down. Inflation is down. That is not because of socialistic policies. That is because of common sense and pro-growth economic policies, including cutting taxes for the middle class. It's why I've been fighting so hard on the issue of SALT. We want to provide real tax relief. But if Zohran Mamdani comes in, SALT will almost be a moot point because he's going to raise taxes astronomically to pay for this agenda that he has laid out.
You were up in Albany as a state assemblyman when former Governor Andrew Cuomo was battling a lot of the scandals that forced him to later resign in 2021. Do you think, though, that part of this is because of the Democratic Party establishment backing a candidate like Cuomo with all of his baggage? Or do you think that the Democratic Party is starting to lean more towards Democratic socialists?
Well, both are true. I mean, you have a fundamental shift within the Democratic Party. Since AOC got elected in 2018, defeating Joe Crowley in a primary, you've seen this rise of candidates that are part of the DSA that promote these policies and ideas, and they're winning seats. And ultimately, what you saw in this election was a deeply flawed candidate in Andrew Cuomo, who signed cashless bail into law, who signed congestion pricing into law, who made New York a sanctuary state, who banned natural gas and shut down Indian Point. So many of the problems that New York is facing were at the hands of Andrew Cuomo. And he ran a very arrogant campaign, a Rose Garden campaign, where he didn't go into the communities. He didn't ask people for their votes. He just assumed they would vote for him because he couldn't fathom that they would vote for a socialist. But Zohran is a very charismatic person, a very hardworking candidate. And he went out into the community and he built a grassroots campaign. And so what you saw was kind of a happy warrior versus somebody who is angry and jaded and people don't like. And you saw the result, especially when all of the other Democratic candidates made clear in ranked choice, don't rank Cuomo. And so that ultimately led to his downfall. And we see the results.
Well, as always, Congressman, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. I hope you have a great time up in Washington. And I know you got a couple important votes up there coming up. Thank you.
Thanks, Morgan.
Coming up, we'll be heading over to the Garden State and get the pulse of the people about a potential ban on player-specific prop bets when it comes to sports gambling. Taking a look at the pulse of the people, sports betting has proven to be a big business in New Jersey, raising billions of dollars in revenue since launching in 2018. But a new bill was unanimously approved by a Senate committee last week that would ban all player-specific proposition bets on college sports in the Garden State. The purpose of banning so-called prop bets is to protect the growing amount of abuse that college athletes receive on social media from disgruntled gamblers. It now goes to the Senate floor for a vote. Here's what New Jersey residents had to say about the legislation.
Even if I'm a college player and I know they're betting for me to get 20 points, I can bet against that and go under 20. So I think that it's always going to be a gray area. But I don't think that it should stop somebody from betting if that's your advice.
Granted, at a certain point, I know it could lead to a higher level. It leads to like a higher level of harassment. But I think it's part of the game.
It's legal in New Jersey right now. Why separate and make everything different?
Because gambling's out of control. I mean, New Jersey already has how many ways to make money? I mean, we need another one, for God's sakes.
And we'll continue to check in with people across our area and get their thoughts on political topics that are impacting their communities. Next up, we're going to test your knowledge of the tri-state region, so stay with us as we take a look at some political history. Now we're flashing back to this week in history. On June 28, 1969, the police were conducting what was a regular raid of gay bars at the time. But on this day, bar patrons of the Stonewall Inn in Greenwich Village fought back. The growing uprising lasted several days and is widely considered a turning point in the modern fight for LGBTQ+ rights. Finally, tonight, we're testing your knowledge on some unusual political history facts here in the tri-state region that make this area so unique. Last week, we asked you what New York City park has 2 time capsules buried inside it. The answer, Flushing Meadows Corona Park. The Westinghouse Electric and Manufacturing Company buried the two time capsules below the park, one in 1939 and the other in 1964. The time capsules are scheduled to be opened in the year 6939. So I don't know if we'll be alive for that. Now to this week's question. The cure for tuberculosis was found in a hospital in what borough? Now, don't Google the answer, but if you want to know or take a shot at it, go ahead and scan the code on your screen. That's going to take you to our website, fox5ny.com, where you can type in your answer, then check back here to see if you're right. That does it for this episode of Politics Unusual. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Morgan McKay. We look forward to having you back here next week.